The horrors of Chennai and Barbados almost came back to haunt India, but then it was Shreyas Iyer and Ravichandran Ashwin that shut the door on that possibility. And well, despite Mehdi Hassan's performance, the thought of a win ended up being a mirage for Bangladesh. India win the series 2-0. It was a bit of a tricky morning for Indian cricket fans, but then India win it and seal the series 2-0. Dinesh Karthik joins me on Cricbuzz Chatter. Um, DK, you're a fit man, you're an athlete, but I'm sure your blood pressure would have shot up as well, seeing India 7 down at what, 70 odd.
Yes, I think when Akshar lost his wicket, I knew Ashwin was the last throw of the dice, but I also knew the fact that that was one guy who knew how to handle pressure. We spoke about it yesterday. When he bats with a regular batsman, he will bring the best out of him, and pressure generally gets the best out of him in this format. And it was great to see him bat the way he did.
Yes, Ashwin 42 of 62, Shreyas Iyer 29 of 46. A valuable contribution from Aksar Patel as well coming in at 434 of 69. If it wasn't for Shreyas Iyer and Ravichandran Ashwin, we would have been facing perhaps the most embarrassing defeat of India's Test cricket history. It shouldn't have come to this.
You can say that. You can say that, obviously, knowing Team India, the way they've played over a period of time, and the fact that the way they played the first Test match, you would expect them to steamroll an opponent like Bangladesh. But we've also spoken about the fact that Bangladesh, in their home conditions, are not somebody you can easily roll over, and they showed it again in this Test match. Overall, for the game of Test cricket, such matches are very, very important to keep this format alive.
And it's the Indian bowlers who've taken India through the finish line, because with the ball they did well, and with the bat as well in the end. Ravichandran Ashwin contributing 42. That's how the Test match panned out. Bangladesh won the toss, chose to bat, but then it was Umesh Yadav's 4 wickets. Well, Ashwin took wickets as well. India had replied 314. But Rishabh Pant's 93 gave India the belief that they could win this one by a big margin, a lead of 80 plus at the end of the first innings for both teams. Bangladesh managed only 231, and it was the 31 each contribution from the two low down the order that gave India a target of 145. It should have not come to this, but then excellent contribution from Chandran Ashwin of 42 not out to take India home. Where did India lose its grip on this Test match? Yes, it's a win, and we must celebrate it. I'm not one to be cynical, and I don't want to look at negatives, but truth be told, a dispassionate analysis is the need of the hour.
Yes, I do think one of the mistakes per se would have been the choice of the 11. I think an extra spinner would have added a lot more to this game than the fast bowler could have. We saw the fast bowlers bowling short spells, but credit to them. I really give credit to Jaydev Unadkat. I think he really stood up in this game and did what he could do very well. But the key again was the fact that there wasn't too much for the fast bowlers. There was a lot more happening for the spinners. We saw those three spinners put a stranglehold on India. They won the toss. That made things even more difficult because we were going to always bat in the fourth innings. But it was good to see Ashwin and Shreyas do what they did. And I think Shreyas has been magnificent throughout the series.
Now, Shreyas Iyer seems to have established himself now as a proper short India 11. But this win, not just for his career, not just for the Indian team, but for his own career as well, it could be a milestone saying, this guy can finish games. He can pull it out from a tricky spot, and he can bat with someone like an Ashwin and see India home.
There are various challenges in a test match, as a batter. But one of the toughest challenges is in the fourth innings against all odds when you're chasing down a score. So that is where Shreyas Iyer again has shown how good he is. And we should never forget these kind of facts when we discuss about him in the near future, when he gets out a couple of times and then we say, should he be part of the test team because others outside look very good? That's not how you look at it. Under pressure, when the team needed it, when a man needs to stand up, that's when Shreyas Iyer did what he did. And that was so beautiful to watch. A calm, composed innings, giving no chances and making sure, even though he had an all-rounder and Ashwin to bat through, consistently taking those singles. But the moment the field was up and he knew there was an opportunity, he pounced on it. That is good batsmanship. And he's shown that consistently through the series. The guy under pressure constantly delivers. He's been doing that for Bombay. He's now doing it for India. And that is a really good sign for India.
Yes, let's take a look at what India did with the bat in that second innings. Akshar Patel did contribute 34. Now, let's keep the result aside and let's look at cricketing logic. Now that India has won, should Akshar Patel have still come in at number four? Because I am of the belief that your better batsmen should go in and face the trickier situations. I would have loved to see a Virat Kohli or a Rishabh Pant. If you had to go right left combination, maybe Rishabh Pant was the man because in this match he came in at what, number eight, seven?
I think as a batter, when you have very limited overs to play, sometimes that adds a certain amount of pressure to you, and you bat very differently to what you would if you see a full day's play available. It's a mindset thing. At the end of the day, sport is played a lot between the years. I understand you're thinking of trying to send a Rishabh Pant if you want to keep a left-right combination, but there is not much damage he could do if he just bats 6 7 overs left out in a day. Whereas if you give him 80 85 overs, he knows there is time and he can pace his innings well. There is a lot to lose and very little to gain at that stage for a Rishabh Pant to walk in. So I do think Team India in sending Akshar Patel was a good calculated move. He's a good player of spin. And to be fair, I think he defended the best up until Shreyas came. I think Shreyas was the best in terms of having a defensive technique to spinners. And Akshar Patel's followed quite closely in this last inning where he comfortably defended both the left arm spinners and the off spinner. And that was a good sign till he got out. He did his job. That 34 runs was worth its weight in gold. I think the pure batters need to definitely have a look at their game plan when the ball is turning and jumping, whereas Ashwin to a large extent and Shreyas Iyer stood out in this chase. But credit to Ashwin and Shreyas to have handled the pressure at the back end. It was a lot of pressure. One wicket there. I think Mominul's catch was the defining moment of the day today. If that catch had been held, I don't think India would have crossed the line. But that catch being dropped gave Ashwin the opportunity to bat much longer, and he did what he did.
Yes, India would have easily been 80 for 8 had that catch been taken by Mominul. But a little more on Akshar Patel. He scored runs, 34 vital runs, and 3 wickets in the second innings. So he's done his chances no harm at all with this kind of performance in the absence of Ravindra Jadeja.
I mean, there is no doubt about it. I think Akshar has been doing consistently well in bowling and, more so with his left arm spin through his time here. Constantly contributed with the bat. I think the world kind of knows how good he is with the bat. He can contribute and give those valuable lower order contributions that you would require from an all-rounder. There is no doubt about it. But having said that, when Jadeja comes back, when they look for three spinners in a test match, I think the toss-up would be between Akshar Patel and Kuldeep Yadav. I think that will be the choice that they need to make if they're going with a three-spin attack.
Now, Bangladesh made a match out of it. This match ideally should have finished yesterday in India's favor, but then they made 145 look like 300. Credit where it's due. Mehidy and Miraz is a man to keep an eye on.
You see their track record, under pressure, Mehidy has done really well. The last time they beat England in Mirpur, Mehidy Hasan took 12 wickets. So he enjoys this ground. He enjoys bowling, obviously, in these kind of conditions that suit him a lot. The odd one going straight and the odd one to turn. So that was good to watch. He made use of the conditions well. He really troubled the Indian batters. And it was, even his batting efforts, we have seen in one day, he was a man of the series. He's taken that confidence into Test cricket. He's been a thorn in India's flesh through this series. He is a very, very important player for them moving forward for Bangladesh cricket.
Excellent captaincy from Shakib Al Hasan as well. He had just 144. He was trying things. Some worked, some didn't work. I was just wondering if they should have taken Mehidy Hasan off because he was bowling really well. He was the big threat. And after a long spell, that took him off. Is that where Shakib perhaps missed a trick because he did have really good attacking fields in place to trouble Ashwin and Iyer?
Yeah, I think he led pretty well throughout, and I'm saying only pretty well because I think there was an opportunity there where he could have dangled the carrot a little bit, slightly attacking fields. But in his defense, keeping those fields in outfields, as we call it, close men catching and some fielders on the boundary line, what that did do is obviously not give those boundaries away easily. And when the wicket helped them, they got the wickets. He kept that as the template throughout the innings. But with the Mehidy Hasan bowling so well, could he have kept slightly more attacking fields? But it's easy to say that. I do think if that Mominul's catch had been taken, it would have been a different ball game altogether. That short spell he gave to Khalid with the old ball, he bowled well. I thought he created an opportunity at gully that just went close to gully.
Yeah.
Could he have brought the medium paces on a little more? that's a hard one. But what was interesting about his captaincy is he knows who's good with the old ball. And I think he backed Khalid ahead of Tuskin today, made those subtle changes, kept rotating the bowlers. But that's about how much you can do. If you hear the interview that Russell Domingo, their coach, gave, he also believed that they could win, but he had those doubts because he said he has been in these situations with Bangladesh before and they've not been able to close out games. And here is another one where they weren't able to close out, even though they had one foot in the door. But credit to India, I think absorbing pressure at the right time helped a little bit by Bangladesh fielding. But overall, I think India in this chase have obviously handled pressure a little well.
Now, despite losing the series 2-0, there are quite a few positives for Bangladesh. They seem to have found players who can do well in this format. Youngsters in Zakir Hassan, of course, Liton Das, the ODI captain, is there as well. Taijul Islam, Mominul came back. There are a few players who have put their hand up and said, listen, we can do well in this format. All it needs is for the performances to be comprehensive. They need to come in together and they just need to be tighter in key moments. India versus Bangladesh, regardless of the format, is no more a one-sided affair.
No, no more. I think India is aware of it. It's no more a surprise when Bangladesh beats India, and it shouldn't be. I think Bangladesh has been a full test playing nation, playing ODI cricket over a period of time. They have the finances and the fact that they've slowly, I'm hoping, have developed the infrastructure to various parts of the country to start competing against good teams. They have beaten good teams in Bangladesh. They should slowly carry that form outside Bangladesh and start beating teams outside. That's when they will get the confidence, because when you travel outside, you need definitely good fast bowlers and good batters with good technique up front. They are developing on that front, but they need to start producing upsets outside of Bangladesh. Right now, they're a very strong playing nation in their territory. It's just outside that they need to work on. They beat New Zealand in this one test a few months ago, which was good. They need to produce more such performances. But the find of their tour, for me, the find of this series for Bangladesh would definitely be Zakir Hassan, because the kind of attitude he showed while batting, his shot selection keeps Bangladesh in good front when it comes to opening their innings. I think when Tamim comes back, it will be Tamim and Zakir to open, which will definitely be a formidable partnership before Tamim hangs his boot in a few years' time. So that is one good player that they have got. Mehidy Hassan, I think he's been around for some time. We no more can say he's been a fine, but they are producing batsmen who are able to score 30s, 40s. They need those 150s, 160s to come their way. That's where the batsmanship needs to improve.
Now, companies, organizations, businesses look at their balance sheet and say, all right, we're in profits, but maybe a few things need to be tweaked. I wonder if Indian cricket will do the same, looking back at what has happened in this series. And I've got a question along those lines as well for Dinesh Karthik in the hotspot. Yes, it's a 2-0 win in the test series. India should have, it was expected to win 2-0, but they should have won a little more convincingly, some will say. DK, given how this test match has panned out, or the series has panned out in the absence of Rohit Sharma, Bumrah, Jadeja, yes, the result has come, but Shami as well. But is there need to take some tough calls? What are the key lessons that India has learned, and what are the tough calls that need to be taken to ensure that India, which takes a lot of pride in being a top cricketing nation, does not repeat mistakes that have happened over the last few days?
I think that overall outlook of how Test cricket is played is something that they definitely need to think about. I think for some time now, off spinners have troubled us to a fair extent, and I think that's going to be a key question for them to answer, with a Nathan Lyon looming large when they play Australia. When they play on turning tracks on day 3, 4, and 5, he will be a handful to deal with. How are they going to deal with them? When we travel abroad, we obviously have a camp where we play so that we get acclimatized to the conditions. Is there something that along those lines that we need to do in order to prepare for the Australian series, especially the test match pros, so to say? That is one question that they need to answer. But the whole month of January, they have a lot of white ball cricket to be played. So how are they going to rotate that? We are looking at two big questions, I think, when we play Australia. Are you going to be happy with KL Rahul as being the opener? And are you going to be, in many ways, choosing between Akshar and Kuldeep as the third spinner? These are the two big questions that loom large as we speak now. And, to be fair, these are tough questions to answer right now, but it will be the questions that need to be answered at that stage. With Bumrah and Shami coming in, I think they will replace an Umesh and Siraj, unless they decide to go in with 3 fast bowlers, then I think it'll be a toss-up between Umesh or Siraj. But right now, I do feel Siraj will get the nod ahead of Umesh right now. So we have our three frontline bowlers. If all three are fit, will be Bumrah, Shami, and Siraj. And among the spinners, it will be Ashwin number one, Jadeja two. The third one will be a toss-up between Kuldeep and Aksar. So these are the questions that they need to be looking at when they come back for the series against Australia.
I know cricket experts and broadcasters do not like being put in hypothetical situations, but say Dinesh Karthik's services were called on to decide what India's 11 should be for that first test match against Australia. Name your 11.
I think it would be for the moment KL Rahul, Rohit Sharma, Pujara 3, Virat Kohli 4, Rishabh Pant 5, Shreyas Iyer 6, 7 will be Ashwin, 8, 7 Jadeja, 8 Ashwin, 9 will be Kuldeep. Depends on the wicket actually, I think. But right now, let's say 9 will be Kuldeep, 10 and 11 will be Bumrah and Shami. This will be my 11 going into the first test match in Nagpur against Australia.
Yeah, public opinion seems to perhaps not be with KL Rahul at this stage. Clearly, they're looking at just the runs, and you seem to have another layer of thought on how Indian cricket should approach KL Rahul. A little more patience, perhaps.
Two things, as we spoke about yesterday. In the last 7 test matches prior to the Bangladesh series, he's got 200s and 250s in away conditions, in tough conditions, when generally Indian players find it hard in those conditions. One was a Lord's test match when it was overcast and looming with a Anderson and a Broad coming at him. He got 100 there. He got 100 in South Africa, in Johannesburg under trying conditions. So you got to respect that. I think giving him an opportunity against Australia should ideally get the best out of him, but he definitely needs to be more free in his mind, and that will come with the success of some white ball cricket. I think if he does well in ODIs, that will definitely keep him in good stead going into that Australian series. And also the fact that he's been the vice captain for a couple of series now and the captain of the series, to drop him would be a big miss. But having said all that, I feel for Shubman, because whenever given an opportunity, he's done so well. He's done well against Australia, but I would hold Shubman for the moment, explain the situation to him, because he could be in the same situation 5 years later. And we should treat Shubman the same way we treat KL Rahul. And that's why I would pick a KL Rahul and give him those couple of test matches. But if things don't go KL Rahul's way, because the one thing that does go against him is the fact that he's played close to 40 test matches and his average is just mid-30s. I think that is not acceptable for an opener. I think that's one of the lowest among Indian players for sure, who has played 35 test matches. That is something that he needs to definitely work on, and that will be on his mind. And if he wants to cement his place right now in the test team, he needs to get a couple of hundreds against Australia. Otherwise, you can definitely see a change with Shubman Gill doing so well.
Let's talk about a few positives now. That trio that's sort of gone under the radar. Unadkat came into this test match. Siraj has done well, and so is Umesh Yadav now. That just perhaps tells Jasprit Bumrah that when he does come back, he's going to have a support cast which is match ready and performance ready.
Absolutely. I think Shami and Bumrah are frontline fast bowlers. I think with Bumrah, yes, the recent injury, but I'm very confident about how his rehab will go. He's a thorough professional, so he'll come back all guns firing. At least to a large extent, Bumrah should play a few matches in the white ball cricket before he comes into the test match, so that his body can take those workloads. For Shami, it's a big question, because he is somebody who is probably not as professional as a Bumrah when it comes to training, but he's had an injury and he's been injury struck for some time as well. And the whole Indian backups over a period of time have all been injured for some strange reason. So the Indian team and NCA need to align themselves towards how they're going to plan in making sure the players stay fit over a period of time, because they have a lot of cricket to play. The whole of January, they have 12 white ball games in 30 days, followed by the series against Australia soon after, and then the IPL. So the next 6 months is going to be a lot of cricket, and they have big cricket coming their way. They're preparing for the ODI World Cup. When it comes to the white ball, they have 4 test matches, out of which they need to win 3 if they want to qualify for the World Test Championship final. They've done well today to give themselves a shot at the World Test Championship final, but they need fit players. The problem with India over a period of time is the fact that they are not able to play a fully fit 11. Their strongest 11 on the park has not been on Team India for some time, and that is something that is not good. And that should happen very soon if they want to start planning ahead for the World Test Championship final and for the World Cup that's happening in October.
There's one name that adds a lot more balance. It allows the captain and the coach a lot more flexibility, given what he's done in the last 2 test matches, his partnership with Kuldeep in the first test, his performance today with the bat as well. Ravichandran Ashwin? Is he the linchpin, especially when India play in the subcontinent these days?
Absolutely. I think he is India's go-to man. I think in the previous decade, there has not been many series won without Anil Kumble being part of the Indian team. That's what stats say. And that is very true as well. India found it really hard to win home series without him. And that mantle has been taken over by Ashwin. I think whenever he's not been part of any series, which I don't think he's not been part of any series, but he makes a major contribution in most of the series that's played in the subcontinent. He has a very decent away record as well. But let's talk about subcontinent the moment, because that is what India will be facing to play Australia in India. He is the key man, because Australia definitely he rather has a mental edge over Australia over a period of time, and that needs to happen and come through for India to have a successful test series against Australia. He is a terrific cricketer in this long format. He is somebody who handles pressure well. He knows how to get under the skin of an opponent. He's got so much going for him in this longer format, and he is an absolute diamond and a gun when it comes to test cricket.
And the request needs to be sent formally to the World Wide Web to add the word all rounder next to Ravichandran Ashwin's name. He's done enough to own that tag.
It's an absolute shame if Ashwin is not touted as an all-rounder. He's got 5 test hundreds. He's played numerous knocks under pressure, and he definitely, for me, is an all-rounder in all regards in test cricket. The stats show that as well, scoring 3,000 runs and 400 plus wickets. He's closing in on 450 as we speak, has not been achieved by many, and he has to be touted as an all-rounder.
Right, and I've been told that Cricbuzz, before the year ends, Cricbuzz is going to have the voice of cricket, Harsha Bogle, look back at the year 2022. But while we have Dinesh Karthik with us on Cricbuzz Chatter, why don't we, with him, look back at what the year 2022 has been? DK, what's been your assessment of how this year has been for Indian cricket?
I think it's been a very ordinary year. I think when it comes to test matches, we had a great opportunity in South Africa. We let go of that, being 1-0 up, going into first test match, winning it comfortably, but we blew our chances in Australia. I think that was something that wasn't a good effort by India, considering how well they played the first test match. And then again, Bangladesh was, we had a good test match in the first one, but we had to huff and puff our way through the second one. We lost the one-off test match against England. So test cricket has been ordinary at best. I think there's a lot that needs to be looked at. Let's talk about the T20. I think T20 India bilaterally has had a very good year. We've won many bilateral tournaments, but definitely in a multi-nation tournament, be it the Asia Cup or the World Cup, India was found a begging. And that is a template that needs to change right from the top, how we play our T20 cricket. There are teams which are zooming past us and playing a very different band of cricket, whereas we are in many ways stuck in a vortex which is slightly old school than accepting the new methods of playing T20 cricket. ODI cricket, I think, to be fair to India, we haven't played a strong team for some time now in ODI cricket, because the focus has been on T20 cricket, but it's again been a very ordinary year. We've lost to New Zealand, we've lost to Bangladesh, we've lost to South Africa, and we just scraped through past England. I'm not even counting Sri Lanka, West Indies, because these are teams that we have a mental edge over in a large way. So overall, it's been a rather ordinary year for Indian cricket.
There are some fans still asking themselves, why was Chahal not played in the T20 World Cup? Now, these are decisions that perhaps needle the emotional cricket fan a lot more.
Look, I think these are all calls that are taken by the captain and coach with the belief they have in a certain player. But, to be fair, Ashwin started the tournament well, probably didn't end the World Cup that well. But Chahal would have definitely made a lot more damage. If probably it would have been an interesting choice. But, hindsight is a very interesting thing to look at once the results have come out. But for the moment, we can, all in all, when we look at the picture of the World Cup and the Asia Cup, we can definitely say that we expect a lot better from Team India, and that's the right way to put it.
There have been a few batting performances in the year that gave India a fair bit of joy. Kohli at the World Cup against Pakistan, Ishan Kishan's double century a couple of weeks ago, Rishabh Pant in England, Suryakumar Yadav's performance with the bat at the World Cup as well. Which is the one performance that made you smile the most?
There have been quite a few performances. I think the standout innings by a distance, I mean, there is a massive distance, has to be Virat Kohli's knock against Pakistan. But having said that, I think if I have to pick the best batsman for each format for the year, Suryakumar Yadav, again, by a country mile, is the best in India and arguably the best in the world as well. When it comes to test cricket, I think Rishabh Pant has been phenomenal this year, consistent under pressure, doing so well, closely followed by Shreyas, but that's about it when it comes to Team India. And if you take the one-day format, I think Shreyas Iyer has done really well for Team India in this last year and made himself a household name that India can back and be with for this World Cup.
Yes, this result has proved to be a season of. It's a reason to celebrate, and it's is now added to this whole the mood of the nation. It's become a season for good cheer. Let's now look ahead to 2023 and get Dinesh Karthik's wish list for the year 2023. The WTC final is still within India's reach. India has won the two test matches in Bangladesh. Let's take a look at where India stand on that WTC list of teams. India still with a chance. They need to win three test matches against Australia to go through. What are India's chances, DK?
I think it's going to be a hard one. I really think it's going to be an uphill task for India. To win 3 out of 4 test matches is never easy. So that would mean obviously playing to our strength and assuming that Australia's weakness against spin will come through. But we've also shown the fact that we haven't played off spin really well. So it is a catch-22 situation for Team India right now. They have to find an aggressive way of tackling off spin. But the good thing is Australia just have the one spinner who they bank on. Whoever is the second spinner that they will play is somebody they can definitely target. It could be an Ashton Agar, it could be an Adam Zampa, it could be Matthew Kuhneman. So we have options here that we need to look at. But for the moment, we should bank on the fact that we have 3 quality spinners right now who on turning tracks will be a handful to deal with, and go in with the fact that on a turning track, when I look back at the 11 that I said, if we are going to prepare a wicket that's going to aid spin, I would definitely bank on an Aksar a lot more because of his height and his variations that he's got, natural variations that he's got, and that should keep India in good stead. But the Indian batters definitely need to step up.
Yes, beat Australia thrice at home to play them in the WTC final. That's how simple the equation is. However, there's a big one coming at home in about 10 months from now, the ODI World Cup 2023 under Rohit Sharma's captaincy. Things that need to change for the Indian ODI setup, players that need to be brought in, some tough calls need to be taken. DK, do you have a roadmap for India's 2023 World Cup?
Absolutely. I do think, I can't say a full roadmap for sure, but I do think India needs to look at the opening combination. How are they going to attack the bowlers up front? We have found Ishan Kishan, who has obviously shown his skills. Are we going to stick with him, or are we going to bank on the fact that Shikhar Dhawan has done well in World Cup tournaments over a period of time? That is a big question. But for the moment, I do think Ishan Kishan has the upper edge. What is our middle order going to look like? Are you going to be happy with Virat Kohli, Rishabh Pant, Shreyas Iyer, and Rahul, which will mean that we just have the 5 options? And I've not even come to the fact that Hardik Pandya is there, Jadeja is there. So, what is our middle order going to look like? I think it's going to be definitely Virat Kohli at 3. I have a feeling it's going to be after that, it's going to be open for whoever is going to do well here on, because it could be Shreyas Iyer, Surya Kumar Yadav, Rishabh Pant, and KL Rahul fighting for 2 spots there, because at 6 and 7 we will definitely need Hardik Pandya and Jadeja, which will give us that 4 bowlers to play with and the 6 bowling options that we keep talking about. We haven't even come to a Sanju Samson, a Deepak Hooda. These are all names that we are contending with. But for the moment, I do think this race is going to be closely run by Shreyas, Surya, Rishabh Pant, and KL Rahul, taking those 2 spots in the middle order, followed by Hardik Pandya and Ravindra Jadeja. But more importantly, I think it's the attitude with which they play one-day cricket that needs to be looked at in a serious way. Play more positive, attacking brand of cricket. Look to get upwards of 350 if the wicket is flat, or even 400. And that's the attitude we need to possess, and make sure that's the attitude that we make it a habit, so that when the big game comes, we in many ways don't go back to what is comfortable, but push our boundaries by trying to achieve those big targets. And if in that we fail, I think we should be okay with it.
And among the players you mentioned, there's a fair bit of leadership quality as well, because 7 captains in the recent past for India. However, of course, Rohit Sharma will be leading the team. It's good to see that there are enough players who will contribute in terms of tactics and strategy as well, because there are players who have captained India in the recent past.
Absolutely. I think, leadership is definitely for me a close call. And I think it'll be between Rohit and Hardik Pandya. These 2 are the big names. I know KL Rahul has been, the white ball vice captain, but I do think Hardik Pandya is thrown his name rather strong in the mix, and it'll be a captain vice captain role between a Hardik and a Rohit in these coming next 12 months, because Hardik has shown his skills in the IPL as a leader, and that might be coming through soon for Team India as well. So for the moment, it looks like, even though there are a lot of other leaders who have captained India in these recent 12 months, because of the amount of cricket played with the likes of Shikhar Dhawan, KL Rahul, Rishabh Pant, all these players donning the captain's hat for a bit, Jasprit Bumrah as well. But for the moment, I think it'll be a toss-up between Rohit and Hardik Pandya, or rather Rohit and Hardik Pandya will be the captain, vice-captain leading into the World Cup for sure.
Well, it's been a rather forgettable year for India. However, the Indian Test team has ended the year with a 2-0 win against Bangladesh. Cheteshwar Pujara, man of the series. Ravichandran Ashwin, man of the match as well. With these 2 wins, India will draw a lot of inspiration, a lot of positivity. And the fans must believe that all that had to go wrong for Indian cricket has gone wrong in the year that's just ending. 2023 will hopefully bring big results and possibly 2 world trophies. It's been an absolute pleasure, DK. It's been refreshing to hear you on Cricbuzz Chatter. I've had great fun. I hope our viewers have enjoyed as well. Make sure you do tune in to all of Cricbuzz's digital platforms, because Harsha Bhogle will be looking back at the year and the highs and the lows and the big performances and the misses of the year only on Cricbuzz Chatter. That's the voice of cricket, Harsha Bhogle. Dika, any passing thoughts on how this journey has been for you? You've had fun on Cricbuzz as well.
It's been thanks for asking, Manish. I think personally it's been a great year. I think I lived up to what I thought should be my dream and goal, which was to play the T20 World Cup. I've been blessed and lucky, and it's been a good journey so far. And personally, I've had a very thrilling year. It's been great. But on a team front, I do think Team India is capable of way, way more than what we have achieved and what we can achieve. I think sky is the limit. We have the talent. It's only the pressure that's going to build up with every year. And we have the skills and the players to deal with it. And I'm sure Team India will have a gun year in the forthcoming year to show what Indian cricket is all about. I think England cricket has shown how it needs to be played, but Indian cricket will make their own path. And I'm very, very sure we'll have a terrific year in 2023 with some big decisions being taken, because that's what Team India requires for the near future.
It's a big year, 2023, for Indian cricket, and you can trust Cricbuzz to deliver content that matches your expectation. Lots of ad-free content, lots of interviews and features available on Cricbuzz Plus. Make sure you have Cricbuzz Plus on your phones as we embark into a big year. 2 world trophies for India? Yes, no? All our viewers, please drop your thoughts in the comment section. It's been an absolute joyride talking to DK on Cricbuzz Chatter. This is Manish Batavia signing off. We'll see you soon again on Cricbuzz.